Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
That was not good.
No, it was.
I
thought we've got it. We've got it, girl.
Did that sound okay? I mean, it just...
Well, we'll find out later, and y'all can comment on that if you like.
That was very spur of the moment, but we
remember,
do wish you a Merry Christmas
and
a wonderful, wonderful time with your family celebrating Jesus' birth.
And just remember, Santa knows who's naughty and who's nice. So you need to think about nice thoughts about what we just sang.
Oh, I certainly agree.
Okay, I'm going to go first today. We are books in the bed because I'll be honest, I do more reading in the bed than probably anywhere else, Gail.
Yes. I
love to get in my bed, get all cozy, and I usually have a drink beside me of some type, and I'm reading, and I don't usually fall asleep. I hope the book's going to be good enough to keep me awake. But my first one, I'll be honest with you, A Bitter Truth by Charles Todd, which is a mother and son writing group. That's a pen name.
Okay.
A Bitter Truth. And they write series. Gil, they also wrote, they wrote the Ian Rutledge series, which I think is on Prime. And a fairly popular series. But this book, and it's I can't remember her last name. She's one of the main characters. It's a series of books about her. She is a nurse during World War II.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yes, well...
Now, it's not true, though, right? It's fiction.
Oh, yes, totally fiction.
Okay.
And I just found it dark. That's the word that comes to me, dark. Okay. This nurse is home on leave, and she sees this lady huddling up under her doorway when she gets to her flat in London, and she starts talking with her, and the lady's in dire straits, and you can tell she's been hit in the face, and so they start talking, and this lady, this stranger, convinces her to go home with her instead of going to see her mom and dad. So, and then where they go is in the most dark. It's on a heath, Gail. So I had to look up what a heath was, and it's a wide open with low scrubs, very little vegetation. And the family that this young lady is from is a well-to-do family, but they get there and there's a murder and there's a lot of drama going on in the family. This young girl passed away. She is the sister, mother, granddaughter of some people in the home because, they all live together. You've got the grandparents, the parents, the kids, and all of that.
Now, did you tell where this was set?
This is in England.
It is in England.
It is in England. And
when you said scrub or heath or something, that I wondered.
Heath is the type of land.
Right. So yes. I bet it's England.
Yeah, it is. It's in England. And she ends up having to go back and forth from being at this home to going back to the front, to the war front. Best part of the book is when she's actually in the war front. I think this authors, that is maybe their most gifted area, is writing about war and making it seem realistic. The mystery was boring to me. The characters, like I said, for the most part, were very dark, very bitter, very kind of like the title, kind of angry people. And I'm only going to give it a 2. I had to read a chapter a night, and then pick it up again. Right. I will say, I just have to be honest and give it a 2. Okay.
And
so that's
what we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A Bitter Truth. Let me see if I've missed anything. Some of the people in it are Simon, who is somehow very close to Bess, the main character's father. I think they might have been in a previous war together, maybe World War I. But Simon always shows up at these unusual times. This is the third book in a series, so I'm missing out on some understanding. And so that's about it for that one, Gail.
Okay.
A bitter truth. A bitter book.
A bitter book. That sounds pretty good.
I want a better book. Better book.
Of course, I'm bringing out my notes. I don't know what's happening, but I think the season, and there's lots going on, and my brain has overload, as my Aunt Minda used to say to me when she said, you just have brain overload. So just bear with me. I have my notes, and I'll probably stick right with them. But Christmas Mourning by Margaret, Maron.
And Gail, remember when you opened it?
Don't tell, because I was fixing to tell.
Oh, okay, that's funny.
We opened it up, and I'm thinking, I love Christmas Mourning, and I didn't see how it was spelled. So you remember that. But it's actually Mournin, because they are mourning. There's some death, some mystery in this book for sure. It's the Christmas season in present-day North Carolina, rural North Carolina. The deputy sheriff and his young son, Cal, and his wife of just about a year are the main characters. Now, she is a judge, so he's the deputy sheriff. She's the judge in the town. Her name is Deborah Knott. And I'll just stop right now because this is a Deborah Knott mystery. So Margaret Maron writes several books about Deborah being the main character. She has a huge family. They even have the family tree in the front of the book. So it's a very interesting family. So that comes out a bit too in the book. They're ready to begin celebrating the holidays, the Christmas season. They're wanting to start decorating their tree. And of course, with both of their careers, it's, time consuming. So the little Cal he's wanting to get going with Christmas, and Dad is called away because there's a tragic accident, and a senior cheerleader is killed in the accident. And she's a senior in high school. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I didn't say that exactly correctly. She's a senior.
We're with the team, so fight. I'm a senior cheerleader.
You were a senior cheerleader one time. But anyway, she was like, homecoming queen. Beautiful, popular, and so that just puts a dark feeling on the whole small town. And so he has to begin investigating because at first it looks like an accident, and then some things come out that maybe it's not. There is discord in her family, and so that's a little clue there. She had attended a party that evening, and they found alcohol in her system when they did the autopsy. Mm-hmm. But it was very well known that she was adamant about not drinking, and particularly not drinking and driving. They had some serious accidents as teenagers do sometimes. Right. They had already had several wrecks. The driver died. One of the passengers was another cheerleader on the squad, and she was injured so badly she'll never be able to really walk well or cheer anymore. So this particular young lady, everybody's saying there's no way there was alcohol in her system. So they're wondering, what happened.
At least not over the limit anyway.
Well, and right, but they're wondering, did somebody put something
in her drink?
Yes, at the party.
Yeah.
And so that's a little something that they're looking for. The family secrets. There's some secrets in her family. It's a blended family. And so he's her half brother, and he just decides this year to change his name back to what his biological father's name was. Mm-hmm. But his biological father had fallen off the roof while, doing some repairs, and he was a roofer. So everybody, you're laughing because I'm just kind of running on and on.
No, do you remember what falling off the roof
used
to mean? If you can remember what falling off the roof used to mean.
You're about our age. Yes.
Do a comment.
Okay, absolutely. But anyway, so, people really wondered how could someone who's always been up, anyway, so that that sort of comes out.
I'm scrunching.
All right, so that is a double murder that happens not long after this supposedly accident. So it's good. There's some good mystery.
Good.
The characters are developed very well, and they're interesting. And you do wonder. It's a good mystery to where you don't figure it out, right away.
Right.
That sort of thing. Margaret Maron, the author, grew up in North Carolina, so she knows what she's talking about as far as the area. And her very first book, Bootlegger's Daughter, swept the top mystery awards for that year. And that particular book is among the 100 favorite mysteries
of all time?
Of the century.
Of the century.
That was what it said.
Wow.
And there's something that's kind of cute, but prefacing that little paragraph there that I read, I think I Googled it, it said that she started writing about her family background and a lot of and then the first book was The Bootlegger's Daughter. So that's kind of interesting, don't you think?
It is.
Anyway, you might want to get that.
Kind of like Coal Miner's Daughter, which we brought up in the last video. We keep plugging.
Yes.
No, not that wasn't June Carter. Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn was the Coal Miner's Daughter.
So,
all right,
I would give this one.
Get that book. How much? What do you rate it?
Okay, I'm going to rate it 3.
Okay.
It wasn't just over the top, but I enjoyed it in 3.
Going back to this one, because I'm catching mistakes as we're filming.
I'm so glad you're doing mistakes because I'm having to read my
World
review.
War One. World War One. And it was the first one I started reading. Just so you kind of know, it was the first out of the ones, and I was a little disappointed. Okay, my turn. The second one I started reading was A Christmas in Wales by Elizabeth J. Duncan. And this is a very good, cozy mystery. I really enjoyed it. I like the way the author wrote about the area, the people. You felt like you were really there. And it's about an American man that is over in Wales, and he's attractive. He's an older man, and he starts teaching dancing classes, and the ladies really are attracted to him, especially this one lady who used to be the postmistress in the town. And they get kind of close. He convinces her to invest a good bit of money in this new idea that he has. Well, very soon after she invests, he disappears, and so does the money.
Oh,
and not long after that, his dead body is found over the wall of this palace that is Conway Castle. So she's kind of suspected. There are a lot of people that are suspected. There's a lady in the town called Penny, and this is a series about Penny. It's called the Penny Brannigan Mysteries, and this is the third one in that series. Now, Penny is an expat. She's over there and is opening up a spa with her business partner, but she's a detective on the side. So this older lady comes to her and asks her, says, please help me. I really think you might be able to find out who really did it. Cute little mystery. I really did like it. I would probably read some more of hers. And Wales, I looked it up. It is in the island of England to the west of it. So, Killer's Christmas in Wales. Highly recommended. Canadian author Elizabeth J. Duncan. And the little town that it's based in is a real town, and it's Laneland. Looked it up, put a little line across the A to show me it's the A sound. Laneland.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Helps us.
Yeah. There. That's it. I rated a 4.
Are we going to keep going? Are we going to stop a little bit and take a break? What do you think?
I think we will stop. For just a little bit and take a little break and see how we're doing today. We're just so excited, and I think you can tell it in our demeanor. We are a little bit discombobulated.
My schedule, girl.
Don't fall back on your schedule.
Well, and you know what? I'm retired.
I know, and I'm not.
But the wonderful thing is, we've recently moved near much
Me?
more family and family.
Hello.
So we were getting together. You know, we went to that wonderful musical on Sunday.
Oh, it
at
was
the
so
church.
good. Yes.
And then I've been decorating. And then yesterday was my Bible study luncheon, and I had to get prepared for it and make some sort of dish. Got to take a dish everywhere you go now. You know, some covered dish. But
Yes.
that's okay. So it's crazy, but we're enjoying this. This is
Yes,
cozy.
we are, and we're going to be back in just a little bit. We might go get a little hot chocolate or
Ooh,
something.
that would be wonderful.
Okay, we are back, and we did get us a little refreshment. I will tell you, one of the ingredients is orange juice.
It is.
It's very good.
And there's some wonderful recipes out there that use orange juice and cinnamon, all kinds of things.
Vodka.
A little bit of rum, you know. All right.
All right, Gail, you gonna tell
next.
us about another one?
I am. Let me get my notes out from under my Afghan.
And if you haven't
Shrouds of Holly.
Oh,
What?
I'm
so
sorry.
sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say if they haven't noticed, we did fix it to where my big feet that were constantly rubbing. I honestly don't have eczema or athlete's foot, but I think it was my anxiety.
Carla, I had a flashback. You're
Okay.
not going to believe this. Do you remember when we, instead of having twin beds for a while, I believe it was after Granny Ruth came to live with us, and so we were in the same bed together, I mean, you know, a double bed.
Right.
And you would shake your foot back, drove me
Yeah.
crazy. I could not go to sleep. You're moving. The covers are moving. So that reminded me. So see, that's just something you naturally do with your feet.
It is.
It's okay.
It is.
It's all right.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Shrouds of Holly by Kate Kingsbury. I'm hoping you can see that. This is set in a small community near London. You know how we love to read those types of books. And it is a Pennyfoot Hotel mystery. And here again, Carl, it seems like you picked several that there are more than one in the series of books. It's a Pennyfoot Hotel mystery. There are several. And
see, the others probably were not written at Christmas time.
right,
Yeah, so-
exactly. But I'm sure they would be so interesting because the characters are interesting. It's the early 1900s. Cicely and her husband own and manage the Pennyfoot Hotel. They have a large staff. They've got maids, they've got servants, cooks, stable managers, because they used horses and buggies for the most part. That was before the car was just coming out.
Okay.
So Cicely is so excited. She is just your typical, I can't say the name the word I wanted to come with, transcendental, that's not right. Never mind. Words just don't come like they should come.
What would you?
She's your typical, wonderful, excited, wants to decorate every corner of this hotel.
Effervescent, exuberant.
Well, that's good too. Anyway,
Charismatic.
If you can think of another word,
What
put it
did
in
I
the
think of about
comments.
myself
Yeah.
oftentimes?
Yes, girl, you are so good. But of course, does she have many helpers with getting everything decorated beautifully? She has a friend who's an artist, and she's the one that does the tree. And it always turns out absolutely gorgeous. So she's getting the ballroom decorated for a huge reception for all of the prominent people of the town. I'm not so sure that it was just the prominent people, but I believe it was, most likely. So she sends her husband and the stable manager out into the woods to get some fresh boughs of holly. And like I said, this is set in London, so, you know, sometimes the terms they use, just like you had to look, they kept calling it a trap. The trap. They're out in the trap, and I'm like, what in the world? Well, that's a horse.
And buggy?
And well, actually, it's a flatbed. Like a flatbed.
Like you would get
wagon.
the tree and put it on or
Exactly,
something?
and now all these boughs of holly. Okay, so she has sent them out. She's so excited. Well, later, the horse and trap come back to the hotel, and there is a dead body in it, and the holly is in it. Her husband is nowhere to be found, nor is the stable manager. So that's the first, mystery and murder
Clue.
that happened. Yeah. Well, they do not know who the dead man is, and of course, first of all, it's the cook and maybe a couple of the servants that find him, and they are frantic. It just throws them into a tizzy. They're scared to death to go and tell Cicely about it, but of course they have to. They don't know who he is. They do find out though later. I'm trying to remember if it was just his clothing or something in his pocket, but he was a wealthy estate owner in the area there. Recently, his father had died and left him this huge estate and mansion. Now, the local police are just not any help. Cicely is so frustrated. They don't see any clues. And of course, she's like, find my husband and my stable manager. Something has happened. There's a murderer loose here. And they were just kind of like, well, we don't see any clues. They did look all night, they looked for, and so they want to go to Scotland Yard in London and turn everything over to them. And she is very frustrated about, and she really is sort of a
do it yourself,
yes,
get it done.
Yes, and which was not typical in that day and time. She was strong-willed.
Although they had women like that, but they were not. A lot of times they would hold it in, because it wasn't accepted that way.
Exactly. Right. So she's decided that she's going to do her best. Number one, she wants to find her husband, and she wants to find out who murdered this wealthy man. Now, the stable manager, Samuel, he wanders back to the estate. He has a major head injury, and he's got the typical amnesia that comes with that. So he doesn't remember what happened. He doesn't know where her husband is. And so the doctor comes and treats him, and he's getting a little bit better. But Cicely is just determined to find out. So she gets Samuel to help her. He's the one that's in charge of all of, the horses and buggies and carriages and that sort of thing. And he's somebody that she can trust to help her. So they start off for the mansion, the place where the man that was killed. And, try to find out, are there any clues there? And sure enough, there's a couple of things that she's just not sure. The cousin to the man that was killed is now the heir of everything. Oh. And the fiance.
There's the motive.
The fiance to the man that was killed seems to be not so broken up, and she's sort of a little bit flirtish with the cousin. So there's some things going on there.
Corroboration there.
Yes, and I must say it really it was a good mystery. A good murder mystery, but there were some side stories that were adorable. One of the servants, and she has they're twins, a girl and a boy, and the butcher that brings the meat to the Pennyfoot Hotel is taken with her, and she is determined. She's been married twice, and one ran off when she was pregnant with the twins. The other one died, and she's not getting involved. But that's a cute little story. You'll have to read and find out, what happens with that. So I really liked the book. I liked it. I would probably give it a 4. But I want to tell you something about Kate Kingsbury, and it's a thread that's this is a pen name. I'm looking up Kate Kingsbury, and it had said, I believe in the book, that she is an heir or not an heir, but a descendant of Agatha Christie. That was very interesting.
That is
so
interesting.
I'm Googling this girl and find out about her. Well, that's a pen name. The real person is Doreen Roberts, and she did grow up in London during World War II. She is 81 right now, and she you remember they had to go into the bomb shelters when London was being bombed?
Yes.
She, at 8 years old, would try to calm the children by just telling stories. She would just start
talking.
So she had a
That
gift
gift.
with that.
Yeah.
And so that was very interesting. So I would get Shrouds of Holly, Kate Kingsbury, pen name for Doreen Roberts.
All right, that sounds really good, Gail. And you know, when we were opening ours, a lot of the ones you got, it's just so funny because they were the ones that I thought would be the best. Right. And of course, that first one. Well, you liked Christmas Morning.
I did.
You liked both of yours.
Yeah,
That's
yes,
right.
I did.
It was my first one that I didn't care too much about.
Well, you know, I told you this, Carla. The very first one I started was the little bitty paperback.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I just turned it into the library. I knew you had checked them out.
Okay.
And I could not get into it. It was set in England and written, I believe, by someone who was English. And the language was such that I couldn't follow it. Have you ever read a book like that written to where, you know, every other word was a word that a term or a phrase that we don't use? And so I really tried. And I couldn't get into it, and so I turned that one in. So I probably shouldn't even bring it up because I can't think of the name of it.
I think we need to let them know when we really don't like something.
Right, and I should have kept that and just said, you know, I didn't finish reading this one, and that was my fault. But I was worried about you have so many checked out, and I couldn't remember when they were due, so I turned it in.
Okay, well, they can look at the previous one to see the name of it.
Oh, they can. It's a little small paperback one.
Yeah, something about the manor, something. I can't remember either. Well, you were talking about this particular author being an older person.
Yes.
This author, Alan Bradley, and I was looking him up. He is 84, Gail.
Oh.
And he has been writing a good bit in his life, but he started this series when he was like in his 70s. This is a very popular, very famous series about...
And you're going to give us the name.
I am. It's Flavia. It's all about Flavia. I looked it up and it's pronounced two different ways. I looked up Flavia de Luz or Flavia de Luce. But it's a little girl. She's 11 years old, but she's very gifted for her age in many ways. And the very first book is called The Goodness at the Bottom of the Sweet Potato Pie, something like that.
Oh, I love that.
And this one is later on in the series. And this one is called Thrice the Brinded Cat Hath Mew'd. And that actually comes from Shakespeare, a part of Macbeth.
Okay.
So I haven't studied enough to see if maybe he gets his titles from different literary people. I don't know. But I was inspired that he was the age he was when he started writing this series. Loved this book. The young girl, I think I mentioned this a little earlier, she has been sent back home from boarding school because she was kind of acting up. And so she's back in England. But her father's in the hospital with pneumonia. And at home, she has two sisters and now a cousin living with them, all girls. And Flavia is just a person unto herself. She has her own chemistry lab in her house, and they have a huge house. It's in England. And so she loves to go up there and she experiments with a lot of things, and she likes to look into anything that's a mystery. But she goes to the parsonage, and the parsonage's wife, the vicar's wife, asks her to take a message to this person. And she gets on her bicycle, who she calls Gladys. She
named her bicycle.
She goes everywhere on Gladys. And she goes out there to hand this message over to this man, and she finds him dead. And he's hanging on the door in this really strange looking apparatus, and he's upside down. It's just a weird looking thing. And so she starts already in her mind, she's taking notes just like a detective. She's noticing this, she's noticing that. And as she leaves the little cottage, she notices right across the street someone is peeking out the window and watching her. Mm-hmm. Well, the mystery takes off, and it takes this young girl into large cities by herself on the train. She's a very independent person. And there's a man at the home where she has grown up called Dodger, who is a very close friend of her father's. He was in the war with her father, World War II. This is based in the 1950s. And so Dodger's kind of her go-to person. And interesting, in this book, Dodger seems to show up a lot of times, just like when she needs him. But it's hard to follow and tell you a lot about the specifics of the book because it entails so many different characters. The way he writes, you just have a lot of different intriguing people. You're so uncertain as to who is going to be the one that murdered the person, and they have interrelationships with one another. I love his writings. I've read about 3 of his books. Thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I do recommend it. I would give it a 5, and mainly the mystery is very good. It really is. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling that he can come up. This is like the 11th, 12th novel with these very interesting and intriguing mysteries that someone around 11 or 12 might possibly be able to kind of solve. And also, the girl, you just fall in love with her.
Yes.
And so I say, pick it up. I am giving it, I think I just said, I'm giving it a 5. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right. Well, my next one, and it's my last one for today, I believe, unless we have a little time, I might do one other one that's not one of our Christmas mystery books that we opened up. But this one is The Ghost of Christmas Past.
And now, before you even say anything,
okay,
I'm thinking, I might be wrong. This is one I thought would be good, but I wonder, was it not good?
It was good.
All right,
Yes,
I'm glad.
it was.
I'm
It
glad.
was. And I did look up how to pronounce the author's name, and it is Rhys Bowen, R-H-Y-S, Rhys Bowen, The Ghost of Christmas Past, a Molly Murphy mystery. Here again, we've got, I think that's wonderful, though.
Well, I think it shows that these authors are successful enough that they're writing multiple books, and evidently they're getting a good following.
Exactly. Well, this is also a pen name. Here we go. Rhys Bowen is not the author's real name. Her name is Janet Quinn Harkin. She was born in England.
Mm-hmm.
She went to the University of London to get her degree. She moved to America in 1963 and married and, has been writing since. And she now lives part-time in California and part-time in Arizona. And here again, she's either 80 or 82, something like that. I just love it. And she's written a lot of books. And this Molly Murphy, a lot of books are in this series. So it sounds like it would be a good one. All right. This is set in New York, 1906. I'll put the book down. Okay. Molly Murphy, of course, is the main character. She's originally from Ireland. She has come over, when there was a lot of immigrants coming over from Ireland. And little snippets in the book, like you said with one that you read, I'm sure it comes out in the previous books that were written, because this is like maybe number 10.
Yeah.
So her coming over to Ireland, and she brought over some children to try to get them out and get them to America. So I'm sure those would be interesting to read. But she's mainly from Ireland, and she has just had a miscarriage when the book opens up, and she is at a very dark place. She's very depressed. It also makes some allusions to her being involved in the earthquake, the famous earthquake in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And that's maybe some of the stress and some of what happened then was a precursor to the miscarriage. She does have a little 2-year-old son, Liam, but she really wants more children. She does. And so this, you went through one, I went through one. You do go through a little grieving time. So she's grieving right in the middle of Christmas.
Oh,
supposedly, a happy, and so it's hard for her to get up and get excited. But she has this little 2-year-old son. So,
right.
Okay. Her husband is a New York City police detective, and he's one of the good ones. I don't know if you remember, as I was reading, I did remember that in truth, there was a lot of corruption.
Oh, Serpico. Remember that was about
Tammany Square or something like that.
Yes,
Anyway,
yes.
So, but he's one of the good ones, and he's kind of wondering, is he going to be able to stay on this force because they're getting a new commissioner. So his job is sort of in limbo a little bit. And, that's a little bit anxious for her. Are they going to get to stay where they're living now? Are they going to have to move? And so she's hoping to be there for Christmas, and her friends that live right across the way from her, she's so close to them. She goes over and hoping to, be lifted up, and she finds out that they're going somewhere away for Christmas. And she tries not to show it. She's like, oh no, they're going to be gone. And we're just going to be here all alone. But it just so happens that her husband comes home from work and says, my mom wants us to come spend Christmas in a mansion, and let me find out exactly where it was. Okay. It is on the Hudson River in Scarborough, New York, and it is a mansion. And I did look that up, and that is an actual area, an actual place. There are
that would have these large, gorgeous homes.
So she starts to get a little bit excited.
Yeah.
And we'll be with his mother, she's staying with a dear old friend and their family.
The mother is?
Yeah, his mother, her mother-in-law and his mother. So Liam will be with his grandmother. Her family has passed away. There's no one really on her family to even see for Christmas. So they're kind of getting a little bit excited. So they come to this mansion, and it is gorgeous.
And don't you love it? Because I can tell just by the way you're talking about it that the author described it very well.
Oh yeah, she's very good at and you're right. That's something that I pick up on quickly. If the descriptions just bring you there.
That's right.
Yes,
you feel like you're there. That's so important to me in reading a book.
So they get there and they're thinking, oh, this is just going to be wonderful. Well, they do notice that the wife, there's a couple that owns, the mansion. The wife's father lives with them. And then there's a great aunt that also lives there. Of course, a whole city of people practically could live. The mansion is so big.
Well, it's kind of like one of my books, and it used to be back in those days, these huge homes, you would have the extended family living there.
Absolutely. But this wife is in a very dark place right now.
The wife that lives at the mansion.
Yes. So
not the
no. So Molly, of course, empathizes immediately. And then when she finds out why, she really does, because 10 years ago at Christmas time, their 3-year-old daughter just wandered out into the snow, and she was never found. There was never a ransom note, never a body found.
Now, would that have happened in our family?
Are you kidding? No. And see, that's Molly. She's like, how could this happen? There was one clue, because she sort of is a detective in her own right, even though she's a stay-at-home mom, and
some people
typical
just have
of
a
1906. Yeah, and her husband's a policeman, and so she just starts, picking up these little clues. Well, the only footprints from the front door out across the lawn all the way to where there was like a lake are just a child's footprints. No other footprints.
Of course, this was 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, at the time. When they did the discovery. And that's kind of strange. A 3-year-old's just going to wander
by herself.
Out by herself, So that was, she's like, something's really off. And so she begins to sense some other things that are not quite right by what the family members who live there, some things that they say don't quite add up. the great aunt who is beginning dementia, she mistakes Molly's husband for this Henry somebody, I can't remember his last name, and so they're like, no, Aunt Clara, no, that and then she mistakes there's a young girl from the orphanage that's back then evidently they had, older people would get young girls to come and maybe help them around the house, and sometimes they would take them in and educate them back then evidently. So Daniel, the policeman's mother, has this young girl named Ivy, and so Aunt Clara mistakes her for the young girl that had wandered away, and different. So there's some really strange things going on, and so it's a good mystery. I definitely would give it. I would give it a 4 for sure. Mm-hmm. I gave Shrouds of Holly a 4. Between a 4 and a 5. It was so good.
I'm so excited that you really got some that were really good.
I got that one that I just couldn't go past maybe chapter 3.
And I'm glad you just really made that decision, Right. I just love my pillow. You want your cheek, Santa? I can't explain.
Yeah, that's your pillow for sure. No, it should say I cannot explain.
Well, that's true.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you threw that we get.
That one.
All right. Well, I don't have my next book. I had to turn it in, but it's called The 13th Gift, and it's a true story. And
you told me about this.
Yes.
One. Oh, I'm gonna have to get this one.
It's interesting because when I checked it out, Gail, and it was quite a while ago, there were plenty. But when I went to renew it, there were no available copies, and there was a waiting list because I'm sure this time of year it gets about this book, and it is a wonderful book. It was written by Joanne Huist Smith, and the actual occurrence was in 1999, and she did not write the book until 2014, some years later. But she was a reporter, and all of her life she kept a journal. And she said that the sad thing is, and I'll tell you, it happens right away, you know about it, her husband and the father of her 3 children, Rick, passes away from a heart condition. And it's about 3 or 4 months before Christmas. And she kept a journal and just remembers, and she writes about it so well. If anybody has been through a real grieving period of some type, you will recognize the different phases that you go through. Right. And so here's Christmas upon her with 3 children. And at the time, her children were like 17, maybe 12, and 8. 2 boys, the oldest, and the little girl was the youngest. And they're getting ready to go to school one day. She has barely been able to get out of the bed and get them ready for school, and they're heading out the door. And the daughter notices this little poinsettia sitting there with a little card, and the card says something to do with that song, the 12 Days of Christmas. Right. But they put it into the effect of, this is from your true friends, a poinsettia, we give you, I can't remember the rhyme, but anyway, the mother, the author of the book, she just kind of wants to just throw it away. And the daughter says, oh, no, Mom, we're going to take it inside and keep it. And so every day from then on, they will have a gift brought to their home. Oh. And it's so cute because they all start trying to be a detective and staying up late and trying to catch them. And every now and then they'll see a person, but they get away too quick. But the main thing, the most wonderful thing is she writes very truthfully about how the children are reacting, how she's reacting. She'd try to go shopping and have a buggy full, and before she could get up to pay for it, she would be overcome and overwhelmed, and she would just leave it in the middle of the store. And her husband was an engineer, and it is nice that one of the persons that he works with brings them a really nice monetary gift that was raised up from the company where he works. And And they say, get the children some things that they want for Christmas.
Right.
And she has some very close family members that are encouraging and helpful. And it does turn out that by Christmas, they are able to see the spirit of Christmas and to have the spirit of Christmas. And that's what she calls the 13th gift. The author herself, because she's been interviewed a lot about the book. She actually has a second one that has come out. I think it's called The 13th Gift Part 2. But I loved this book. It is very encouraging, not really sad, because you see a family really starting to heal and starting to realize that there will be a good life, that they have a lot to live for, that they are being watched over and taken care of by the Spirit of the Lord. And she now is, I'm not sure exactly what age she is, but she has all of the children are grown gal, and she has 2 redheaded grandchildren. And I love
so
that because we were redheaded, but no redheaded grandchildren. But yeah, I give it a 5 and highly recommend, if you can get this book now, to get it. It's a great one.
Wonderful.
Okay, now are you wanting to touch bases on that 5th one you read, or would you prefer me just to go? I read one extra.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead. You've got it.
I
don't want to.
I had to, because now I have reviewed a couple of Lisa Jewell's books, maybe even 2 or 3. And truly, she is an author that I feel certain I'll probably read all of her books. But Julie, one of our watchers and a close family member of my family, we were texting back and forth, and she had read a couple of Lisa Jewell's books, and she said, Carly, you got to get this one. I could not put it down, stayed up late at night, and it's called Then She Was Gone. And I did look it up, and it is considered probably the most popular book that she has written.
Wow.
And it starts out, I will say, like the Then is a family with 3 children and the little 15-year-old daughter, Ellie, who's just one of those daughters that everybody wants. She disappears. And it's very sad. They never find her. And 10 years later, the mother of Ellie is starting to see somebody, because unfortunately, during the missing person and the trauma and the heartbreak and everything, they did divorce. The mother and father of Ellie divorced, and the father remarried, but Laurel, the mother, never has. But she starts seeing this gentleman, and for the first time in 10 years, she just kind of feels that glimmer of hope, and she goes to meet his family. He has a couple of daughters, and she sees Poppy, his daughter. And she is just like, oh my gosh, Poppy looks just like Ellie when Ellie was that age. So I'm telling you, you cannot put it down. She goes back and forth some in time, and she writes from different character perspectives. And the chapters are fairly short. And you finish one and you're like, I've got to go to the next one. Got to go to the next one. Hot, a 5. Then She Was Gone. I just absolutely loved it. Thank you, Julie, for telling me to read it. And I did stay up some nights after midnight. Just couldn't put it down.
And we would welcome any of our wonderful viewers that have suggestions of books. Absolutely, put it in the comments.
Yes, because we have so many books to read, though, Gail.
Oh, that's true.
I'm so excited, but don't. Please
still do it, because maybe down the road we intend to do this for as long as the Lord leads us to do it, and as long as people want to watch and listen and read.
And so we thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's getting very close to Christmas, and we won't be seeing you again probably till the new year. We just want to wish you the most wonderful, safe, happy, faith-filled Christmas that you could have. And the other day, after Gail and I went together with families to church. We were texting on the way home, and we just said that church service reminded us so much of growing up, because Christmas, we were always in church for a lot of special events at this time of year. And we just started texting very quickly things that we would remember, traditions that went on in our family. And I mean, we must have just said 10 or 12, and we're going to get with our brothers actually tomorrow at Gail's house. And I think we're going to bring that up, and just, it's so fun to share. What are your favorite remembrances as we were growing up, and traditions that we had?
And Jesus is the reason for the season. So a lot of what we remembered would be, going caroling to nursing homes or at the hospital. Or I don't want to give away something I'm going to say tomorrow, but I think I will just go ahead and give it away. One of my remembrances was I was able to play Mary in a live nativity scene at First Baptist. For some reason that year they decided to do one, and they got the donkey and the
I was going to
sheep
say, Gail,
and,
that was the year I played the donkey.
No, ma'am. It was a real one. You
I was the ass.
girl. You silly girl. Oh my goodness, no.
Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you again in 2023.
Oh my goodness.